opportunity to speak to you about elevating your mind. I hope this has been impactful and has made a difference. If you have had any kind of, if you've picked up anything from this and you've learned something from this, drop elevate your mind in the chat. Elevate your mind 2025. Elevate your mind. All right, thank you all. I'll hand it over back to Grace. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you so much, Dr. Donna. I'm in here typing elevate your mind, all caps, because this was awesome. Thank you. This was amazing because I taking notes. I'm like, okay, what does elevation look like? And that was such a powerful reminder to remind us that, because sometimes, especially you're looking at other people's life, you're looking at social media, you're like, oh my God, look, they're doing all of this. And what am I doing? I think that what does elevation look like for you? That's key to know. This is what success is for me. This is what elevation is for me. And then what did I talk about? Neuroplasticity. I can change this. So it's not permanent. We can change this. And you dropped some bomb. Like, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Donna. So moving right along, and everyone, please remember, questions, drop them in the chat. You can send them as a direct message to me in the chat, if you want to remain anonymous, just if you do, send me those. And I will move along to our next amazing, awesome speaker for today. And her name is Cristiana Moa. Quick intro for her. Cristiana is a board certified family nurse practitioner and certified functional medicine practitioner. She's a highly experienced healthcare professional with over 15 years of experience in hospitals where she addressed complex healthcare challenges and witnessed the impact of prescription side effects on patients. So driven by this passion, Cristiana she now, founded her Optimal Wellbeing Center LLC, a practice that integrates modern medicine with functional and natural approaches and treats the root cause of illness. So basically, not just dumping medicine on you, like actually figuring out what's wrong with you to treat the person as a whole, as opposed to getting a pill to get side effects. And sorry, I digress because I have personal issues with that. But through her work, Christina empowers individuals to achieve optimal health and vitality by focusing on the whole person and sustainable lifestyle changes. Without further ado, I'm passing the mic to the amazing Cristiana to come here and give us some education on how to, I think today you're specifically talking about stress, like, mastering stress to unlock longevity, which I don't know about you all, but yeah, we all deal with stress, like life is stressful. So please welcome Cristiana. Passing the mic to you. Over to you. I'm
Hello, everyone. Yay. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Thumbs up. Grace, you can hear me, right? Audio
Yes,
is working.
I can hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all. I'm excited to be here with you. Thank you, Grace and AZNY and team for this wonderful opportunity to elevate our whole being. So it's no secret I'm going to come from a medical standpoint, right? So for us to elevate our state, we have to elevate our health. Because when you've accomplished your goals in 1, 10, 20 years, will you actually be healthy to enjoy it? So like everything else, we have to make plans to becoming healthy and staying healthy. So I'm excited to present a topic that is near and dear to my heart, because in my practice, I see a lot of motivated patients. Quite frankly, they are motivated because they're high performers. And so they tend to have problems and have difficulty with stress management. And now this is key. So before I get started with my actual topic, let me go ahead and share my screen because I do have some slides that I want you to share. And I have a lot that we're going to talk about today. So I want us to get right into it in 1 second here. Can you see my screen? All right, so let me move this over here. All right. So I was talking about my patients. You can see my screen okay, right? Everybody can see? Am I sharing the right screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Okay. All right. So yes, a lot of my patients tend to be high performance and they're busy professionals because, and they don't see the need to stress manage. I call that underperforming because they're too busy to manage stress. So today we're going to talk about mastering success to mastering stress to master success for longevity, because we tend to see that stress tends to affect our health in different ways. And so today, my objective is for you to understand stress from a health standpoint, and for you to also understand the biological effects of the stress response on our bodies, to identify the different kinds of stresses that we may be experiencing. And also, we're going to talk about the link between chronic illness and chronic stress. We're also definitely going to talk about the tools to help you manage stress and also the keys to longevity. So let's jump right into it. All right, so I will be remiss if I did not tell you my story. So I wanted to speak on myself first. So to the left, that was me in, several years ago in NP school. The irony of it is I was given a lecture on an endocrine disorder, which is actually like a hormone-related disorder. And this particular project required posting a video on YouTube for a grade. So as I began to look and edit this video, I couldn't help but recognized that I was unhealthy. And I remember thinking to myself, if I were a patient, I wouldn't believe what I was saying. So that was my wake-up call. And I actually looked 20 years, older looking back at that picture. You can see my school on my jacket there, on my lab coat. So that was my wake-up call. And I knew that I had to do something. I was insulin resistant at this time. That means, high blood sugar, possibly on my way to diabetes. I was definitely not prioritizing sleep because I was up to the wee hours of the morning studying, definitely eating poorly, and I was clearly overweight. So I began to make some lifestyle changes, just little lifestyle changes. The first one was working out or exercising to prevent disease. And then I started to do more self-care. And I just realized that in our textbooks, there weren't a lot of emphasis on lifestyle modification. So that changed my approach completely. So as an NP student and a traditional NP working in a traditional medical standpoint, I started to approach medicine differently. And so I placed less emphasis on diagnosis. I started to focus more on lifestyle modification to reverse and prevent disease. Essentially, I started to give my patients the cheat code to avoid disease. So if you're pre-diabetic, we were trying to get back to normalcy before we got to diabetes. And that's where my love for preventative medicine came from, and turned to wellness medicine and now functional medicine, which is root cause medicine. And that's what we do here at Optimal Wellbeing as well. I'm in my office, so that's why I said here. So my goal today is for you to be empowered to understand that stress management can actually give you a longer life, give you longevity by preventing the illnesses that are associated with stress. All right, so let's get started. So what is stress? Stress is a term we use flippantly in so many areas outside of medicine. But the definition of stress is a physical or emotion reaction to challenges or demands. These challenges could be threats or perceived threats. We heard a wonderful talk by Dr. Adana, how we need to change our mindsets. So yes, sometimes the threats could be actual direct stress or perceived stress. Also, I'm gonna skip some of these on the slides only because we don't have a lot of time, but one thing I want you to know is in the medical standpoint, and from the medical standpoint, we talk about stress as a fight or flight response, because that's exactly what it is. Short term, that stress response could be motivation. It actually is a positive thing. It empowers us and gives us that energy to accomplish our goals, to tackle that, presentation that we need to tackle in such a short time for work. However, when we're constantly releasing stress hormones over a long time, that's where it gets detrimental to our health. It can impact our relationships and our productivity. So that's why we need to focus on stress management to enhance our well-being and enhance longevity. Just wanted to share some statistics with you before we get started. So we started before we get into the talk. So there was a 2013 editorial from the JAMA Internal Medicine. It's actually a journal of American Medical Association. It actually suggested that approximately 80% of physician visits in clinical settings were actually illnesses related to stress. And the second part was actually very telling. This I found this study by CDC. It was actually conducted after the pandemic in 2021. It showed data from over 540,000 COVID-19 patients that were hospitalized, over 800 hospitals. And they found out that the number one risk factor for death was obesity. I think a lot of us heard that during COVID. But what I thought was interesting was the number two risk factor from dying from COVID was actually from stress and anxiety related disorders. Just let that sink in for a little bit. That's really telling. I know this is a very small slide, but this is the actual data. If you see, if some of you, if you're on the computer, you might be able to see this better. But the first is obesity, and the second right there, it says anxiety and fear. Anxiety and fear related disorders. So that's why we're talking about this today. So stress is very important, and it's detrimental to our health. So let's talk about the biology of stress. So this is where I come in. I've noticed that in practice, once I can explain the biological ramifications of stress on the body, my patients are more motivated to change their ways. And then when they get to see the correlation of stress and cortisol levels to their condition, they're more likely to change. So let's talk about it. So we talked about stress being the fight or flight response. When this happens, the hypothalamus, the back of our brain, which is an almond-sized organ, sends a signal to the adrenal glands. Now, the adrenal glands are sitting on top of our kidneys, and their main function is to produce some hormones. Some of them are reproductive hormones, but today we're talking about stress, so we're going to talk about the main hormones, which is adrenaline and cortisol. So adrenaline is initially secreted, and then cortisol. And then after, we are supposed to manage that stress and get your relaxation response. So the goal is fight or flight, could be motivation, it's helpful, but we really want to get to relaxation response. But unfortunately, a lot of us we don't achieve that quickly. And so let's talk about how adrenaline and cortisol secretion can affect our body as a whole. So adrenaline is responsible for that increase in your heart rate, faster breathing, heightened alertness. For instance, if you're chased by a tiger, you really want your adrenaline kicking in, right? Because it's life-saving, and God designed it that way. Now, the second hormone that's secreted, which tends to be the primary hormone, is your cortisol. And that is responsible for increasing blood sugar. And why? Because we need blood glucose to our brain for alertness, quick thinking, right? We need blood glucose to our muscles to help us jump over that fence, right? That we never thought we could jump over, right? So, but however, one thing people don't understand, and I let my clients or my patients, because you're not sick, I call my patients clients. What I tell my clients is, it also shuts down bodily functions that are not helpful during stress. So at that moment, you're not thinking about what you're going to eat, right? So your digestion slows. So just let that sink in. So this is why we're not supposed to be chronically stressed. Now, it's beneficial. However, there needs to be some reprieve. We talked about that briefly, short-term, the long-term effect. Now, everything in the body is about balance. When we're talking about the nervous system, we're talking about the balance between sympathetic, which is stress, that's the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic system, which is the calming system. This is a picture depicting, if you can see, just a visualization of how once we're stressed, there's specific hormones or signals that are sent from the hypothalamus to our adrenal glands. Those are the two yellow adrenals on our kidneys. As you can see, adrenaline increases your breathing, your heart rate, then your cortisol. What does it do? It releases glucose from the liver. So you actually have high blood sugar at the moment of stress. So let that sink in as well. So decreased digestion and high blood pressure. I get a lot of patients with high blood pressure. I've never had high blood pressure before. I don't have a history of high blood pressure, but for some reason I have high blood pressure. You have to think about moments of stress. And then you also on the right, we have just another depiction of what stress also can do in other organs of the body. So it's not just your heart and your lungs, but you were talking about your muscles, your bladder, your digestion. We talk about your eyes. I have patients that come to the clinic, like, I have twitching, my eyes are just twitching. I'm like, that's stress. So you see here your skin, your hands are shaking. So these are all stress related. All right, so I wanted to include this slide. I know it might be a little technical if you're not in the medical field, but this is really important. Have you ever wondered why people who are stressed often look very haggard? They just have this haggard look to them. So there are new research and studies that are showing that there are sections of our DNA, what we call telomeres, that are actually shortened in chronic stress. These telomeres are really important for cell division, and they actually help with regeneration. So in what I do, we believe in also regenerative medicine, from exercise, stress management, cell therapy. There are different reasons, but you actually can regenerate and heal yourself if you manage stress, because you can actually accelerate aging when you don't. And evidence is showing that in mothers, okay, this study here by Apple and associates have determined, or from their study, they were able to show that when they compared the telomere lengths of white blood cells in mothers who were taking care of chronically ill children, they found that they were much shorter than the mothers that took care of children who were not chronically ill. And the longer the kids or the children were ill, the shorter the telomeres were of the mothers. And they found that even sometimes the perceived, we're talking about mindset initially, the perceived threat of that illness also caused shorter telomeres. And they found that the telomeres were actually 9 to 17 years, like, were compared to those of people that were 9 to 17 years older. So that's really important. So so stress can actually age you. And so chronic stress, we talked about that. So what does it lead? We talked about how the short-term effects of stress can affect our organs. So we talked about the heart. What we see is cardiovascular disease in different forms. Diabetes, yes, even though you don't have a genetic propensity. Obesity, weight gain, thyroid issues. Now, this one is really important. A lot of patients come to see me and they're like, hey, for some reason, I've been diagnosed by thyroid disease. We do extensive thyroid panels on them, and we find that their thyroid is fine. It's just aspects of it that might be associated with stress or even nutrient deficiencies. But yes, it can affect you negatively with your thyroid as well. And then cancer, we're seeing this more and more. I don't have a lot of time, but I was watching a documentary with my husband the other day. It was the Bernie Madoff documentary about the Ponzi scheme. And so what I found and I thought was interesting when we were watching it, I told my husband, I said, everyone associated with him who did not kill himself, that were not convicted, they actually died of cancer. Why? Because of the stress, the emotional toll it took. They all died of cancer. So that's another thing to think about. So prolonged cortisol over time causes damage to tissues, impaired health, even fertility. So those adrenal glands also are instrumental to making our reproductive hormones. So autoimmune disorders, if you know someone that developed an autoimmune disorder like Crohn's disease, I know someone who was dating in a toxic relationship, a patient, and developed Crohn's. After he broke up with that specific individual, his Crohn's disappeared, and that is an autoimmune disorder. So that's the effects of stress as well. So let's identify different kinds of stressors, because I see that identifying and understanding the types of stressors are crucial for knowing how to manage them. So what I usually tell my patients is you need to know the stresses that you can control and the ones you cannot control. Short-term stressors like having an argument, or we live in Houston, just overwhelming events in one day. You're late for work, there's traffic jam, you have a rushed workload because you have a boss that gives you last minute projects, or it could be long-term or sometimes stressors that we cannot control. Is it trauma from birth? Grief of a loved one, being a primary caregiver for someone that's been ill, financial constraints, global events. Recently, some people, we see that in our modern day, we have more stressors. We have Twitter, we have social media, we have Fox, we have CNN, and tell some patients you just need to turn off that news. So that's also important. So you need to identify the stressors that are ailing you. And the next slide here is the signs and symptoms of stress. So how do I know that I'm stressed? How do I know that I have cortisol, not cholesterol, but although it can affect your cholesterol as well. Your emotions, are you easily irritable? This could be different things. This is not completely exclusive to stress, but this could be an indication as well. Frequent mood swings, lack of focus, headaches, gut disorders is very, very, we see there is a gut-brain axis that more research is telling us about. When we have inflammation in our body, it affects us in our digestive system as well, okay? So let's talk about how do we combat or monitor stress. So you might ask me, how do I know that I'm stressed? I don't feel stressed. So there's definitely some stress monitoring tools that I will recommend. Some wearables. I have one right now. It can monitor my HRV, which is your heart rate variability. I know I'm tossing a lot of things and there's a lot of terminology, but these are things we go in depth when we have our visits. But it is something, just start simple and integrate gradually so you can understand. But your resting heart rate, if you have a Fitbit, that can tell you a lot about your stress. If your resting heart rate is elevated, you might be a little bit triggered and not knowing you are, so something to look for. I usually tell my patients journaling is really important. Journaling at the moment can help you identify the stressors in real time. So if something occurred that day, you can tell, hey, this is an aspect of my life that I need to correct. Now, labs are also very important, especially for people that feel the symptoms of chronic stress. There is an AM and PM cortisol level. So that is something I know is a little bit technical, but you might need to have some comprehensive blood work that would not just check your organs, but would check your adrenal hormones. Because like I said, it affects everything else. Because if you think about it, our body is a matrix. We're not made of organs. It's a whole matrix. So every reaction, every action brings about a reaction, okay? There are also tools that you can use, like stress questionnaires. We use that in a clinic setting as well. And always make sure you are getting optimal versus standard ranges. I would always go with optimal levels only because if you want to be a well-oiled machine pre-disease, you really want to use optimal ranges. I know conventional medicine uses standard ranges. A lot of people have normal cortisol. And I'm like, well, that is not normal because if you're looking at the range, you're just at the cusp of disease with those normal ranges. So something to think about. So keys to longevity and living a longer, healthier life. So how can we manage stress? Regular exercise. Most of us, we don't understand that we have to actually relax. So this is not just sitting on a couch watching TV. It's actually helping your body get into that parasympathetic state, that calming state. I know it's not easy as it sounds, but it is easy. We just have to be a conscious effort. So exercise is a powerful tool. It's a great way to reduce depression and anxiety. Social connections, finding a sense of purpose. Dr. Donna talked about mindset. Once you understand your purpose, a purpose-driven life, you're less likely to be bogged down by the stressors of the day. Some of you need to engage in hobbies that you've retired when you were younger. Some of you need to laugh, maybe have 5 minutes of a comedy show. For me, practicing meditation is really important. I do it with the Word of God. As a believer, I pray. So I give God the things that I can control, and the things that I can't control, I control. So that's one of the ways. And another thing I want to talk about is supplements. So when you're stressed, you are actually deprived of nutrients. So vitamin C, vitamin D, your B complex, zinc, magnesium. Now, magnesium is an active calming supplement. And these minerals, and another thing I talk and I use in the clinic is adaptogen herbs. So adaptogenic herbs, exactly how it sounds, They help you adapt to stressors. And they've been around for 70 years, and research has proven that they are effective. Some of you might have heard of ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng. Those are all great stress relievers as well. This is just a picture of a longevity checklist I give my patients as just as a tool for accountability as well, to help them manage stress. So just telling them, make sure you're doing one of these and just progressively improve with it. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm trying to hurry here. And where my slides? Okay. And last, before I get done, I just wanted to remind you that stress management is not a passive process like we just talked about. It's an active process. So just like you have to exercise to build muscle, you have to, exercise stress management. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. It says, "Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day, it's its own trouble, and that's God." And that's from Matthew 6:34. Here are my references, and thank you very much. This is my presentation, and thank you for the opportunity. And for those of you that want to do if you want my longevity checklist, just send me a message in the chat. I'll send you the longevity checklist. It's things that you can check off, and just to make sure that you are managing stress and making it an active tool and an active, process of your life, if that's what I'm going to say. And for those that probably want to do a consultation, for this conference, I've added a 20% coupon. So if it's something that you want to utilize, just send me a message, and I'll have a link to my website as well. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Kristen. That was amazing. You were out of town. I mean, out of time. I wanted to stop you, but what you were sharing was so amazing, because at the end of the day, if we're not able to manage our stress and our health is not good, like, what is the point of everything else? I feel like that is really the foundation of the estate, your body. So thank you so much. I was taking lists, and I even put a screenshot in the notes there. Everyone, take that list. Look, anything in your life that falls in that category, script, delete, block. That's my thing. So I'm big on that. Make sure you live a stress-free. And I love how what you said also tied in with what Dr. Donna talked about earlier, which is how the mindset does affect the body. And so we have seen it in, real life. And for me, my main takeaway was that 80% of the visits were stress related. Seeing that number, I think I always assumed that, but I never knew was a real thing. So now you know, and I even had, I have some personal experience, but we'll talk about that later. So thank you so much again. This could have been like a whole day and 2 days presentation. So thank you for just summarizing that and putting that together. I definitely encourage everyone to talk to her. We probably need to talk, okay? Because I need to, get my life together a little more. But connect with her. I'll put the link in the chat as soon as I remember. Don't forget elevateyourestate.org. Every speaker's bio is in there, and also all of their social media handle is in there. All right. Moving right along, I think we're moving on time, and we'll get everyone out here as promised, unless people want to hang out and chill and sip a mimosa, but we'll get it moving. Next up, I am bringing up to talk to us Chinyere Chichi. Chinyere is and I'll call her Chichi. Chichi is a certified professional coach. She is the founder of Power Pose. She is a dynamic certified professional coach with a master's degree in organizational development. With a deep connection in intentional living, she has built a proven track record of transforming women's careers and, in the workplace, and even businesses in general. Chi-Chi is passionate about inspiring women to design lives that not only look successful. So we're not talking about looking the look and, putting it up for the ground. We're talking about not only looks successful, but actually is successful and feels deeply fulfilling to the person. So today I'm going to bring up Chi-Chi. I believe you're talking to us today about how to elevate your career and elevate your life. And we know that career elevation is all about the money. We make the dollar biz, because when you have money, you are good. Or at least, when you work in a space that you are thriving, you are also good as well. So without further ado, I will bring up Chi-Chi to give us some powerful her powerful presentation. Let me know if you need me to do the slides, by the way. We'll
Okay.
work my technical skills. But thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am. Thank you,
Welcome,
Grace.
welcome, welcome. Clapping for
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Zaya, thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to share my screen. I will be very honest. I usually use Google, but we will do this. Just give me 1 minute. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
All right. It wasn't too bad. All right. Thank you, Grace, for the introduction. I'm so excited to be in this space today. I want to share a little bit more about myself. So I started my career as a recruiter and had the privilege to be able to climb the ladder to ending my career before I started focusing on my business full time, to be a senior vice president at Goldman Sachs and really being able to do work that I always envisioned for myself. I had a big dream and knew when I started my career that I was supposed to be in a position of leadership. What I mostly knew is I wanted to be in leadership, but I didn't want the stress that comes with it. So the work that I do through my company, Her Power Pose, is truly about giving women, high achieving women, the ability to build careers of their dreams and lives so that they can live boldly and do what matters most to them. So when we talk about elevating our estate, imagine living a life and having a career that's fulfilling, but it's not stressful and it's not burdensome, but you're able to make the money, have the influence and the visibility that you need to get to the next level. So hi, everyone. I'm so excited and I'm just pleased and pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be amongst amazing women in an incredible panel as we truly deep dive and explore how to elevate your estate. Dr. Donna inspired us with insights on breaking free from limiting beliefs and reclaiming control over our lives. A lot of the work that I do with the women in my career coaching boutique is truly about mindset shifts and removing limiting beliefs. Dr. Christina highlighted the profound impact that chronic stress has on our lives and shared really powerful strategies for us to be able to manage it. As I shared earlier, I started my career as a recruiter and had the opportunity to get to the levels that I've gotten to. But what's the more important to me is helping high achieving women achieve their success without the burnout. I'm intimately aware of the impact your career has over your life. So it impacts where you live, what kind of life you're afforded, your stress levels, your mindset. So today I'm going to be diving into how you can elevate your career to elevate your life. Because both stress and mindset are challenges that I see far too often with the women that I work with. I want you all to be able to navigate your career strategically and to unlock your own full potential. But first, I want to know who's in the room. So if you could drop in the chat for me, I have a quick question and I will be really clear. I want this to be an interactive session. So I'm going to ask some questions throughout my talk, and I would love for you guys to just engage in the chat, communicate. I want to know more about you all. So how many of you all work in corporate and how many are entrepreneurs? Or maybe you're doing both and juggling. Let me know where you're at and what you do today. All right. Entrepreneur, a lot of entrepreneurs. Corporate, okay, does you? Both, nice, nice. Well, I'm happy to see that we have a great mix of corporate professionals, entrepreneurs, and some that are juggling both. Today, my focus is going to be on how you can leverage your career to create financial and personal stability for yourself, truly as a part of you being able to build your estate. So, like I said earlier, keep a pen, notepad, your phone, whatever works best for you. I'll guide you through I will say this is super high level. 15 minutes is short for me. but we're going to get what we can get done. So I'm going to guide you through some quick activities to make this session more actionable. Let's go. So your career isn't just a job. It's truly a tool to achieve your dreams. As I shared earlier, when we have ownership over our career, it impacts so many things in our lives. Like I said, from where you live, the type of lifestyle, what you're afforded, your stress levels. It also provides, as we all know, financial security, growth opportunities, and access to wealth building tools like real estate and investments. I want you to think about something. Professionals who invest in their career, they are 70% more likely to achieve financial stability. So, a strong career plan can be just as important as a legal or a financial strategy when you're thinking about building your estate. I know what right now, I mean, for the last maybe 5 to 10 years, it's all been about hustle culture. Let's start a business. Corporate America is not for everyone, or I don't want to be in corporate. But the reality is, most Americans are building their wealth through corporate jobs. So as you're working in corporate America, or right, you're an entrepreneur, we want to think about what strategies are going to help us create wealth through the careers that we have so that we can continue to expand. Here's the thing, success in your career is just like success in managing finances or health. It does not happen by accident. It requires intentionality. I want you to start by assessing where you are today and identifying the gaps between where you are and where you want to be in your career, and taking steps to close those gaps. It's very similar to the same approach that you might take when you're working with a lawyer to set up a trust or with a doctor to create a long-term wellness plan. It's all about strategic, informed actions. So, success can look like earning a higher salary to support your family, having flexibility to prioritize work-life balance, or gaining recognition and influence in your field. All of those things put you on the track for success in your career so that from a long-term view, you know that you're creating a personal brand in your career that will stand the test of time. So you now use your career as a vehicle to support some of the other interests that you have. I often talk about brand and building your own personal brand. It's truly a powerful asset in your career. It's what people think of you when they hear your name, your values, skills, and the impact that you create. For example, right, when we think about LinkedIn, ask yourself whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in corporate, are you truly maximizing the potential that LinkedIn can provide you when you think about creating visibility for yourself and your career and your brand? Often when I work with clients, they're so caught up in the company that they work for that they forget that there's importance to building out your own personal brand that's unique to you, because you are just the number at that company. They will let you go. I mean, a story, when I was earlier in my career and I was recruiting, one of the employees, she passed away on her way to work. It was very, very sad. And they posted her job. Well, I posted her job. They told me to post her job the day after she died. So when I stand back and I think about that, and I've shared that story with some of my clients, the question I have is, are you going to minimize yourself so that you stand out for your company? Or are you going to build your own personal brand so that you stand out as the powerful woman that you are? Think about LinkedIn as your modern business card, right? Are you showcasing your expertise in a way that truly reflects your goals and what you're trying to achieve? So whether you're juggling both, right? If you're an entrepreneur in corporate, a client I'm working with now is trying to determine, because she works for corporate, how does she position herself for both her company, but also her passion and her business and the work that she's doing. And every single time in the work that I do, my question is, let's do let's do both. But I see so much fear that they're scared of what their company may think. But you are your own brand. And once you start moving as your own brand, opportunities in your career begin to show up. So again, I ask you, are you showcasing your expertise in a way that reflects your goals? It's especially important if your career is central to funding your estate and the goals that you have around your estate. So, as some of the women mentioned earlier, right, we are broadening the definition of a state, right? It's truly your entire being, whether it's your mindset or your health or like hobbies. What are you trying to build for yourself? Again, are you showcasing your expertise in a way that reflects your goals? I want to hear from you all. Drop in the chat if you're feeling a little shy about it, it's fine. I want to hear, are you showcasing your expertise in a way that reflects your goals and using LinkedIn to the best of your ability as you are both an entrepreneur and corporate, or if you just work in corporate, how are you leveraging your modern business card? So drop in the chat. I'm using it, say great, or I could do better. I want to hear from you guys. You're using LinkedIn the way it should be used, or you can do better. I could do better. I could do better. I could do much better. Yeah. I do have something I'm giving away. I created a LinkedIn optimization guide for the high achieving woman. So I'm going to be sharing that with everyone on the call. I and my team put a lot of work into that. It's good, and I'll make sure you all get it. LinkedIn is your modern business card. It is your brand before it speaks for your brand before you have the opportunity to say a word. So we have to maximize our usage of it. I want you to go ahead and drop in the chat for me. And if you prefer not to drop in the chat, remember I asked you guys to pull out a piece of paper earlier. I want you to write down one skill or achievement you want to highlight in your personal brand. Let me hear from you guys. You can drop it in the chat, or if you prefer, just take a note. What is one skill or achievement you want to highlight in your personal brand? I'll share mine. When I think about the business that I'm building, I want women to understand that I've been where they've been, and I understand their story, and I'm here to support them to get to the other side. So my goal that I've set for myself on LinkedIn to make sure that I'm highlighting my skills is to pre present and talk on thought leadership posts. So I do at least 3 to 4 thought leadership posts around my persuasive mindset method. It's a framework I created in my business, and I hold myself to that goal. I want to hear from you guys. Write down one skill or achievement you want to highlight in your personal brand. The entrepreneurs, you guys should be responding really quick in that chat. Like, what do you want to highlight? You want to highlight your law firm. You do immigration. You want to talk more about that. What is the thing that you want to highlight on your LinkedIn that really speaks to your personal brand? Drop it in the chat. I want to hear from you all. Now, we've all heard the phrase, your network is your net worth. Strategic relationships are key to accelerating your career and building your estate. Mentors will guide you, advocates will promote you, and peers collaborate with you. I made it from recruiter to senior vice president, not because I'm smart, but I'm not the smartest person in the room. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I made it to where I got to because the strategic relationships I built along the way. I share often, I still text my first manager that I had when I started my career. I can still call on her for things. Every job I've ever had, I was tapped for because of a relationship. So ask yourself, what relationships are you building that will take you to the next level? And where are there areas for opportunity? Do you have mentors? Right? As an entrepreneur, we need mentors. As we're in corporate, we also need mentors. Do you have advocates, right? People that are speaking about you when you're not in the room. Think of one relationship that you'd like to strengthen this year. So maybe it's reconnecting with a mentor or reaching out to someone who inspires you. Go ahead and jot it down. You can share in the chat or you can jot it down on a piece of paper. But I know that we all didn't come here on Saturday morning and we're not ready to take action, right? If you showed up here, that means you're ready for something to shift. So I want us to be present and really ask ourselves some of these questions. And it applies to both, like I said, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, what's the relationship that you need to strengthen this year? And if you sit in corporate, what are the relationship that you need to strengthen this year? And if you do both, think about it from both lens, right? As an entrepreneur, what could you strengthen? And as in corporate, same. This is a big one. Oftentimes, women, especially women of color, do the work and they become known as the workhorse. People know them to deliver. I made a decision in my career that I don't deliver, people deliver for me. And once you get clear that you do not want to be seen as the workhorse, your entire career will shift. I know some people might be like, oh, Chichi, you managed a team of 7, you had an admin, all of those things. But the reality is I was doing it before I had all that. And I teach the women through my company, Her Power Post, to do the same. It's really about getting more visibility. And how do you do that, you ask? Because I believe visibility is critical, I empower women to speak up in meetings, take ownership on projects, or share insights on platforms like we talked extensively about LinkedIn. You need to make sure that your work is seen and recognized. So it doesn't mean when you complete a project, you jump to the next project. It means that when you complete a project, you make it known the impact, the quantifiable impact that it's made to the organization. But first, you have to understand whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in corporate, what's the impact that your said responsibility is having, right? If your task is a customer service person and you are responsible for closing rates of X percentage, right? So when you're positioning the influence that you've had on over the work that you're assigned to, and you're wanting to create visibility for yourself, how are you positioning that to leadership? Are you using the words that resonate with them so that when you're speaking their language? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have your eyes set on bigger clients or bigger partnerships. How are you positioning the work that you do using the language that resonates with who you're trying to attract? Visibility is powerful. It's not just about self-promotion. It's about ensuring that your contributions are valued and rewarded. And those rewards can directly fuel your broader financial and personal goals. As a first generation Nigerian American, I know what it means to have a good job. Because a good job, a good career is a direct correlation to the life you create. It's a direct correlation of access to things that others may not have. So we want to ensure that we're creating the visibility that takes us to the next level and in the front of the right audience. I want to hear from you guys. Write down one action that you'll take this week to increase your visibility. This one, I want you to drop in the chat, and I'm going to hold you accountable. What's one action you'll take this week to increase your visibility? Drop it in the chat for me. Film content, yes. Participate in social media. I love that. Yes, social media post on my practice. Yep. All of these things increase your visibility and get your eyes to increase revenue for your business or get you more opportunities in corporate. I'm running short on time, so I'm going to wrap it up. I'm just going to go straight to the last slide because I just want to make sure I wrap it up all here. And I will share the LinkedIn optimization guide because I do believe there's so much abundance on LinkedIn and we need to tap into it. But what I really want to give to ensure that you all grasp today is that it's possible to build a career where you feel fulfilled, not stuck, and stress-free. It's truly about having clarity on your values, strengths, and power, creating visibility that impacts and creates a domino effect for your career, and also strategic relationships that will take you to the next level. Again, I'm long-winded, so I didn't get through all of it, but I appreciate you all sharing this time with me. And I'm at Her Power Pose on Instagram, and I will share my LinkedIn optimization guide with the group. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach Chichi. That was powerful. And I have to say, when you said the create visibility, as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually ties in perfectly to what's going on right now. And all of us have heard in the news about the DEI initiatives all being taken away. So I think this is actually very powerful for us as women, Black women, because we hit a few prongs of these things to create visibility on what you do so that people do know that you are a subject matter expert in your area, you know what you're talking about, and you're not just a token as some, the rhetoric might be claiming. So thank you so much. I took a lot of
Thank
notes.
you.
For real, I did, and so many gems, but we have to move on right away to the next speaker. And up next, I'm bringing on Dr. Joy Johnson. Quick intro. Dr. Joy Johnson is a doctor of nursing practice, and she's a trailblazer in healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship. I know her personally. She's an amazing, amazing woman. She's the founder of Enjoy Wellness Med Spa in Texas, and she combines her clinical expertise with a dedication to empowering others to thrive, sorry. And the crazy thing is, Dr. Joy is not even here to talk on the medical side. This lady is a real estate guru. When I met her and she was talking about her investments, I was like, oh my God, I need you in my life. I need to be aligned with women like this so that I can take my life, in the words of today, elevate my life. So we've talked about, your career. Now we're talking about 9 to 5, your business. Now this is about how to, create passive income with Dr. Joy. So today she will talk to us about exploring real estate as a pathway to wealth creation. Dr. Joy, go on and drop those gems, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And thank you so much, Inzawani, for again getting us all together and networking. This is what it's all about. We need to be here for each other and share what we've learned. And yeah, who would have known I'd be doing real estate in this space, but I am, and I realized, hey, I wish somebody could have been there for me and shown me how to do things. And instead of me just out here learning on my own, takes you a lot longer to learn how to do something when you're just out here by yourself and you don't have a mentor or someone that's there to show you kind of, hey, this is what you can do, or have you thought about this, or giving you different things. So I'm so excited today to share with you and spend time with you to let you know a little bit about what I've been doing and what you can also do yourself. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. You'll have to help me out because let me know if you can't see it now, because, okay, let's see, let me go to, I don't think it's in the right mode, hold on. All right, okay, can everybody see my screen okay? Can everybody see me okay? Think so, yes? Okay, yes?
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so like I said, today we are going to be talking about real estate. And my passion now is to help women create financial freedom and achieve generational wealth through real estate. I can just share a little bit about myself. I am the mother of twins. As Grace mentioned, I own a med spa. I also am a nursing professor. And so my life is pretty chaotic and hectic. One day after working 4 12-hour shifts in a row, my daughter came to me and said, I miss you. I don't see you anymore. And it crushed me. And I realized that I was prioritizing my work life above my family life. And I needed to figure out a way to be able to balance and make it a little bit better so I could be there for what I prioritize, which is my family. And so that's when I really started getting heavily into real estate investing myself. My family has been investing in real estate for years, so I always kind of knew it was there, but I didn't think it was possible for me on my own to be able to do something like that. And I've found out that there is a way. And so I just want to share a few things with you and strategies and steps that you can take so that you'll be able to achieve um, passive income yourself if you like. Okay, so the first thing that you need to focus on is, what does financial freedom look like for you? So as I just mentioned, for me, it was having more time flexibility. I wanted to be able to travel with my kids and my family, spend time with them, take them to school, pick them up, do homework, that kind of thing. But that may not be what financial freedom is for you. You may, have, everyone's individualized. So your idea of financial freedom may look totally different than mine. I feel like it's important for you to define that. That way you'll be able to focus on your strategies for real estate investing, because there are many different things that you can do when you're looking into real estate. So the first thing that you can do, the different strategies, so tons of things we can do. So first there's new construction, and new construction is like you buy a lot and you build. Now there's so many options for building. You can have mobile homes on your lot. You can do a single family home, a duplex. We also have our ADUs now. ADUs is what's called an accessory dwelling unit that you can put on a lot on properties and things like that. So that's one thing you can do. There's fix and flip, which is going to be where you purchase a property, it needs renovation done. And so you'll renovate that property and then you'll sell it. That's one thing. Or there's a buy and hold. That's where you buy a property and you're going to keep it. You're going to hold on to it and you're going to rent it out and collect rent each month. There's also micro investing options, and that is where you put money into, say, $10,000 or $15,000 into a real estate project. In that project, you'll then earn interest up to 25% in a 3 to 4 month time frame. And that's one way that you can invest. So depending on what your idea of financial freedom looks like, will help you to determine which type of real estate investing that you'll want to do. No matter what type you decide, it's going to involve, you purchasing some property, right? So priority recommendation I have for everyone in here, whether you're in corporate, whether you already have a business. I saw a lot of entrepreneurs type in the chat. You need to create an established LLC just for real estate. Okay, and this is a couple reasons for that. One, it helps with taxes, and I'll get into that next. It helps with your tax purposes. So it keeps it separated. So when you're trying to, say, write out your expenses, if you're trying to deduct your property taxes, when you're trying to use your depreciation, which will help reduce your income, that will all help if you have it separate. It makes it easier for your CPA to be able to differentiate that. Also, the key thing is it'll help you with business credit. Establishing business credit, which will then allow you to get business credit cards as well as business lines of credit. I have myself purchased a property, put down the closing cost using an Amex credit card with a business that I established with less than 6 months time frame. I can show you how to do that. But so it is possible for you to be able to do that with that business credit. Also, you have your real estate funding. That's an option that it'll help you to use different types of loans. Okay, so when I first started, okay, way back, I actually used my personal name to buy investment properties. Okay, and if you guys know the process of purchasing a home, you got to have your income tax returns, you got to have all your bank statements, all the stuff you have to have, and that can be a lengthy process with a conventional loan. Now, there are benefits to using a conventional loan when purchasing real estate, but for example, you can be able to get like a FHA or a VA loan, and so you put less down. So there are options for that, but I say when you're starting off, go ahead and utilize, because you want the speed method is best. So I would say get your LLC. then you'll be able to use real estate funding. Real estate funding is a way that you can use a DSCR. A DSCR is a type of loan. It's called a debt service coverage ratio loan. And that loan is what they call no doc loan. Okay. And that is where you're able to utilize your rental income that you will be receiving in order to qualify for the loan. And it will not be looking at any of your personal or business assets in order to qualify you. And so you can close in as little as 15 days. I actually just used Burr, actually last week, closing on a couple of properties. So here are a couple of companies that I recommend. The first one is Burr with 4rs.com. There's makeabeeline.com and kiavi.com. Okay. And these are all, you guys can go check out the websites. These are all funding institutions that will help you to be able to get properties in your business name. Okay. Make a Beeline. I have to shout out to them because they were actually my first DSCR loans that I used when I first started investing, and they really helped me with the process because I did not know what I didn't know, right, when I was getting into investing in real estate. And so that is definitely something that you need to utilize when you're trying to buy multiple properties. Because what I learned with putting multiple properties on your personal name, it then causes you to have an imbalance in your debt to income ratio, and it lowers your credit score, which then makes it more difficult to buy properties. One, for your credit score utilization, and also with once you get about 5 properties on your personal name, it makes it a little bit more difficult in order to get additional loans and mortgages. And so this way, when you go and you utilize these other funding options, they do not show up in your credit, and you're able to then scale your real estate portfolio. Okay. So what is the importance of passive income? Why are we buying real estate? Why are we doing this? Why are we using fix and flips? Why are we using, buy and holds? What is the point, right? As we mentioned earlier, we definitely want to build generational wealth. We want to have a great mindset. We want to reduce our stress. We want to make sure we're building our brand, but we also want to keep our future in mind as well, because we don't want to be working this hard for the rest of our lives. And if you're like me, you have developed a certain lifestyle that you like and you want to continue throughout your life. And in order to do that, you're going to need, especially entrepreneur, right? You're going to need to have a way to counteract you having to be there and working, on your business, not in your business, right? And so this is a way to do that with passive income with your in real estate investments. So if you do have a 401k, if you are contributing to that, continue to contribute to that. You can actually use your 401k to fund some of your real estate investments. You can also, if you are using if you are entrepreneur, there is also a solo 401k if you have that, solo IRA, or if you are investing in IRAs, continue to do that. You can use those funds to invest in real estate as well. And you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success and be able to accomplish all that in the future. So I do offer complimentary strategy sessions. If you want to have any questions that you have about real estate, any different strategies that you might think of, I will post my link in the chat. If you have any questions for me, I'm available to answer them at any time and help you to grow your portfolio.
Yay. Thank you so much, Dr. Joy, for all of that information. And ladies, I hope you are taking notes and noting all of this. So we've talked about your thoughts, your mindset, your body, your 9 to 5, your brand. We're talking about your money, and definitely real estate investment is passive, the best, the ultimate passive income. And I can tell you for sure, and we all know this because all of the wealth builders in America, they're all from real estate. So thank you, Dr. Joy, for all of those. I definitely recommend, if you're interested in this, talk to her, sign up with her, do a strategy session We're doing one. We're doing one, and we'll get it together. All right. Next up, we will move right into, so now we've talked about the mind, we've, gotten our bodies together, we know what to look for, we're building our brand, we are, making our money, our passive income. Now I'm going to bring up this awesome lady here to talk about how to make sure you get the bang for your bucks. Okay. We're making all this money. How do we keep this money? How do we work smart? How are we strategic with our taxes and, things that we're doing to make sure that we're getting, I call it the number 47 tax advisor benefits, okay? Because I want to keep my money. And coming up the stage now is Miss Adiola Anyowale. She is the founder of A&E Financial Services LLC. She's also an author, a renowned author. I'm speaking it. She's a renowned author. She wrote a book called Dear Future Millionaire, which I need to read. I want a copy of that, by the way. Adiola is a speaker, certified financial educator, tax expert, and business consultant. With over a decade of experience in taxation, she is a trusted advisor to her clients, offering them expertise and guidance to help them navigate complex financial landscapes, which is code word for taxes, because I'm a lawyer, I don't do taxes. Please just take care of my money, navigate that. So today, Adiola is going to talk to us about tax planning strategies that we all can incorporate now. And this is timely because, they said the portal is going to open next week, Monday, to start filing your taxes. So this is just in time for us to get some tools, if not for right now, for the future, on how to best protect our money. All right. So Adiola, over to you.
All right.
Thank you for everyone
for that wonderful introduction. And Zaya, thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak at this Elevation Your Estate. It's really a great opportunity for everyone. And to all the amazing speaker, wonderful. I've gotten so much information down and they're so useful. Thank you to Dr. Donna, Christiana, Chi, and Dr. Joe. I'm truly blessed to be part of this panel. So today I'm going to be talking about tax strategy for small business owner and also for high earned income. I'm not sure if you can see my screen. Let me know in the chat. Can you see my screen or no?
We can't see the
Not
screen
yet.
yet.
Okay, no, okay. So let me share. All right. All right. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about tax planning strategy for small business owner and also for high earned income. And before I proceed, if you remember during Chichi presentation, she talked about your career and how it's related to your income, where you live, and all that. It's very paramount when you earn this money. How do you preserve it? How do you minimize the taxes, right? Because the IRS is out there to actually get their part from their money. So how do you minimize it? The taxations, right? We all pay taxes. That is one thing we all need to keep in mind, but it is how much do we pay back to the government? So I'm going to be sharing a few strategies that you can actually benefit from as you prepare for the tax season or the upcoming year. All right. So here's the agenda. And what I'm going to be talking about is differences between tax evasion and tax avoidance. They're two different things. Tax deduction versus tax credit and tax planning strategy. All right. And common mistake that we tend to make as a small business owner and high earned income. All right. So first is what is tax evasion? All right. So tax evasion is concealing income under reporting your income, meaning basically you're actually under reporting your income, which is illegal under tax law. You're probably wondering, why am I talking about tax evasion? It is because most of the time when we earn this money, we always feel like, oh, I don't need to report this much, all right? But the truth is, there is a way to actually go about it to minimize your tax liability in a legal way. All right, so I'm just gonna run over my presentation. Tax evasion is deliberately underreporting and omitting your income. You do not want it to do that, or keeping two sets of books, or making falsified entries in your books, or claiming forced or overstating deduction on your return. All right, we don't want to do that. All right, when we're doing our taxes or when we're planning on tax liability. So now, what is the proper way to do it? What is the legal way to actually do this, right? It is called tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is a legal way for you to reduce your taxable income while increasing your cash flow to build wealth. It is completely illegal, and it is encouraged even by the Internal Revenue. And that is what we're going to be discussing today. How do we legally reduce our tax liability so we can build wealth? We can build wealth. So example of tax avoidance are ways to legally reduce your tax liability. And before I proceed, I'm going to be explaining some concepts just to kind of have like introduction. So these are introductories. What is tax deductions and tax credit? Tax deduction and tax credit, both are used to reduce taxes, but in a different ways. All right. What is tax deduction? Tax deduction reduces how much of your income is subjected to taxes. Deduction lower your taxable income by the percentage of your IX federal income. All right, so you're probably wondering, what does this mean? What is tax deduction? Tax deduction is the set amount that the government usually gave you every year based on your tax filing status. We have what is called standard deduction, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with. And we also have what is called itemized deduction. Itemized deduction is, standard deduction is a fixed amount that you can deduct from your taxable income, which is based on your filing status, which is if you're single, there's a set amount that the government gave you that you can use. If you're married, there's a certain deduction you can take. And this is the deduction for this tax year that we're going into, right? Pretty much everyone has a set amount based on your tax filing status. All right. Now we have itemization. Itemization is actually you telling the government, say, look, based on what you gave me, I have more than that. I have other things that I needed to claim. So yeah, you have your mortgage interest. All this fall into your itemized deduction. You have your state and local state taxes. If you live in a state like Illinois, Boston, which you pay state taxes, these are tax deductible. You have your medical expenses, your charitable contribution, which is very important. You also have your certain business expenses. All this accumulated to itemized deduction. If you exceeded the standard deduction, you can take itemized deduction instead of the standard deduction. Let's say, for example, you pay $10,000 in mortgage interest and your state taxes is $6,000 and you have charitable contribution. That comes to a total of $18,000. If you're single, that exceeded the standard deduction that the government gave you. And this is just an example. There are people that their mortgage interest is close to $30,000. And if they're married, that automatically extended the standard deduction that the government set aside. So you wanted to make sure as a taxpayer that you take advantage of itemized deductions. You want to keep your receipt if you don't, and you want to also keep in mind things that fall under itemized deductions. All right. Now, what is tax credit? Tax credit is different from tax deduction. We just talk about tax deduction. Tax credit is a direct reduction in the amount of taxes that you owe. In my next slide, I'm going to show the example. We have two different types of tax credit, non-refundable and refundable credit. Non-refundable credit are credit that apply to your tax liability, but they necessarily will not give you a refundable amount back, but they lower your taxable credit. Why refundable tax credit? Reduce your tax liability to zero, and if there is any amount remaining, you get it as a refund. So technically, you can see the difference. So when you hear people say, "No, I'm getting this amount of money back," it's not that they're getting that amount back. It's based on their refundable tax credit. All right. So there is different type of tax credit that you guys were familiar with, which is a child credit, your EIC credit, educational credit, energy efficient home improvement. If you made an improvement to your home, such as installing solar panel, their tax credit for it, I believe in the last few years is based on the amount. You can get a minimum of $9,000 back based on the installation of the solar panel. You have adoption credit, child and dependent credit. This can result in refundable amount, all right? Now, here's an example of tax deduction versus tax credit. So if you have an AIG, let's assume you have an AIG of 100,000, all right? Tax deduction, basically, you have that $5,000 minus that 100,000 and your taxable income, which is 95,000. It's lower rate before your tax bracket, right? Why tax credit apply after your taxable income. And you can see the differences in tax deal if you have to pay back, right? Now, so I'm going to proceed to the main topic, which is tax planning strategy. What is tax planning strategy? It's the process of organizing your financial affairs in a way that minimizes your tax liability while ensuring compliance with tax law. It's involved strategically planning and structuring your income, deduction, and investment to take advantage of tax benefit, credits, deduction to reduce the amounts that you owe. And Dr. Johnson, she just talked about real estate. And I'm going to actually bring out, you can use real estate as a tax strategy to reduce your taxable income in the long run, right? Now, the first thing in tax planning strategy is evaluating your business entities. What type of business entity do you have as a business owner, right? Because most of the time, the mistakes we make as a business owner or I earn income is we do not understand the business entities that we choose, how it affects our tax liability. Assuming you start a business and you assess that this business, the longevity, the growth level of the business, it's allow you to properly think, do I need to just form a basic LLC or S Corp, elect as an S Corp or partnership or a C corporation? Often than not, as an entrepreneur, we don't think in that longevity. Once we have the idea, we're passionate, we're just forming an LLC. We don't think about the growth level of the company. How far is this business going to grow? How far am I going to invest in this business? So I can plan around that business to be able to build wealth, right? So most of the time we just start and we just from LLC. And basically LLC only protects you on a state level, not on the IRS level. When it comes to the IRS, you're just so prop, meaning that you still report your income, your expenses under your 1040, all right? And most of the time, the deduction when it comes to SOPROP, your LLC, your basic LLC, it's very, very limited. And it also exposes you to audit. Assume you build the business, you grow the business to the level that the business is over $250,000 and you're still under LLC or SOPROP and you're still reporting on your 1040. Just assume that and you put in all the deduction at the end of the day, so your net profit is $50,000. Even if it is, you are more likely to be audited because the IRS are looking at your return. How can you gross $500,000 and you're telling us your net profit is $50,000? It's not realistic, right? So it's very important when you're building your business to consider your business entity is the number one foundation in tax planning. And most of the time we don't think about it, all right? Now, this is a chart that actually gave you an example of single member LLC versus S Corp, right? Now, let's assume the business grossed $120,000 in revenue this year, and you have, this is just hypothetical, you have 20,000 business expenses, your profit is 100,000. Now there's something we call self-employment taxes that a lot of small businesses with sole prop, single member LLC don't realize, is that you have self-employment taxes. All right, the self-employment taxes, meaning you are paying the taxes as an employer and also as an employee. All right, and your taxes are much likely to be much higher. All right. Now, if you elect as an S Corp or C Corp, your tax liability will be much smaller. You could see from this chart the differences in the taxes. Okay, and now not only that, S Corp actually allow you more flexibility to take more deduction than your single member LLC. All right, and then maintaining a proper accounting book, such as copy of your receipt, is very, very important. After evaluating your business entity, the next thing is keeping a proper accounting book. It's really, really critical, because if you don't keep a proper accounting book, it's difficult for you to be able to say, this amount was spent toward my business. All right, so it's very, very important. All right. All right, another thing is in tax planning strategy is maximizing your retirement contribution. Often than not, we don't pay attention to this, all right, but it's very, very important. As a small business owner with solo 401k, you can contribute up to $46,000 into a solo 401k. All right, and also for SEP IRA, you can contribute up to $53,500. So you want to take advantage of your retirement account as a tax planning strategy as a small business owner. And even as high income earners, you also wanted to make sure you are taking advantage of your 401k at work, because most of the time your employer tend to match your 401k. And if you're not taking advantage of it, you're not maximizing it, you're actually leaving a significant amount of money on the table. So it's very, very important. Another tax strategy is hiring your kid. Now, this is very common. I mean, a lot of people talked about it. As a small business owner, you can hire your kid and pay them up to $14,600 without having to pay Medicaid or Social Security taxes. This figure tends to change every year based on the standard deduction. As long as the amount is as long as the amount that you are paying your child is not higher than the standard deduction that the government set aside, your child do not have to file taxes on that amount. And this can save a significant amount on you lowering your tax liability. And when you're hiring your child, you probably are wondering, okay, what do I need to do that? You just need to you need to give them an actual job that your child must perform in that necessarily work. It doesn't mean they have to be at work, but at least if you hire someone, you usually have a list of what they need to do. So you wanted to do that for your child as well in case an audit happen. All right. You also wanted to make sure that you pay a reasonable salary for your kid, and also keep good record keeping when you are doing that. You just don't want it to do it in a way that you won't be able to account for it. You have to go through a payroll company to be able to do this. And depending on your business entity, it's, depending on the business entity that you elect, is also pay significant amounts in you paying your child. If you're a single member LLC, there's a law that you don't have to pay your child You don't have to pay Medicaid and Social Security taxes, but if you're an S corp and you hire your child or a C corp, then you have to pay Medicaid and Social Security taxes. All right. Another tax strategy planning is contributing to your HSA, which is known as health saving account. Most of the time, we don't take this thing as important, but this can lower your pre-tax. All right. And this money can grow tax-free. So as an individual for 2025, as we go into the year, you can contribute $4,150 to your HSA, and as a family, you can contribute $8,000. And even as a small business owner, this amount is also deductible in your gross income when you contribute to your HSA. This is very important. You want to think about that. As I earner, you also wanted to make sure that you're taking advantage of HSA in dependent child credits from your work that they offer. This allows you to lower your taxes in the long run. All right. Another tax strategy is Augusta rule, which we all know as Section 280, is you actually renting part of your home as an office. For example, I'm presenting from my home. All right. This can be I can deduct this in my taxes. All right. Because I'm doing this, is tax deductible. And basically, Augusta rule is meaning that how do I explain it? You actually bill your company for using your home as an office, all right? And you do not have to report that rental income that you received, but you can write it off as a business expense. Okay, another one is real estate as tax shelters. Real estate as a tax shelter is huge, right? But I'm not going to be able to cover a whole lot out of it. I'm only going to explain briefly. Using real estate investment to create a tax shelter can help you save on taxes through many IRS deduction. All right. Now you probably are wondering, how would this help me? As we all have heard in the past how important real estate to build wealth. Not only to build wealth, but you can also use it to leverage the tax code. All right. Because a lot of things in real estate are practically deductible: your mortgage, your repairs. And every single thing that you spend on your real estate is tax deductible, and it can help you lower your tax liability. All right. And also, as an high-end income, there is a special rule that allows you to take up to $25,000 deduction, all right, to be able to lower your taxes. But you wanted to make sure that you qualify as a professional real estate, meaning that you are actively involved in the real estate, not just as a passive. Yes, real estate is a passive income, but you want to be involved actively while doing that to be able to take advantage of that $25,000 deduction. And also, using your primary home as a tax strategy can be very useful. I think my time is going, so I'm running through different tax strategies for you guys. Then we have what is called tax loss harvesting. And this is pretty much when you invest in the stock market or your mutual fund throughout the year. You notice there is a stock that you are losing money. You can sell it during the year to be able to take advantage of the losses to also lower your tax liability. All right. We also have deferred or accelerated income. Let's say, for instance, you are a small business and then you know that a major income is coming in at the end of the year that could significantly increase your tax liability. You can choose to bill that invoice the following year, so you can take advantage of tax deduction, or you can accelerate your deduction purchasing certain equipment during the tax year, so you can take advantage of it. If you realize that your tax liability is going to be high, purchasing equipment, new computers, offering bonuses to your employees, so you can take advantage of tax liability. Would you rather give a bonus or pay it back in taxes, right? When you offer bonuses, then you have loyalty employees. They are willing to work hard. All right. And the major one is still leveraging business write-off. What does this mean? Under Section 162 code, on that Section 162 of the Internal Revenue Code apply when collecting federal taxes is the fact that every businesses are different, every industries are different. There are certain industry, there are certain deductions that are peculiar to your business that is different from other people's businesses. So you want to understand your industries and what's the deduction that is actually pertain to your business. According to this code, it's meaning that any expenses that you incur that is ordinary and necessarily to your business can be deducted. All right, that is what that code is all about. Like, for instance, you have someone in real estate versus someone that is in financial industries. Their expenses, their deduction could be quite different based on the needs of their businesses. Or let's take, for instance, a real estate in California versus someone that work in Texas, right? Or a real estate in Texas. California is image and entertainment and all of that, and physical look, it's highly important. The poise is important. And you said, I invest so much in my look, and I'm taking that deduction. It's allowable if it allow you to earn businesses. This is what this code specifically deal with, making sure that you leverage your business right off. Anything that allow you to earn, build your business, grow your business, you can be deducted, all right? As long as you keep your receipt and you keep a written note.
Okay, Mr. Diallo, we have to round up now.
All right, so thank you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you.
Oh, right on time. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness. This was amazing. I'm taking notes. I have the Augusta rule, hiring the kids, which I need to finagle that. And then also the entities. So this was great information. Even though I didn't file my taxes, I got so much out of it because now I know about the deductions. I need to ask my tax person, make sure you're taking my deductions for my state taxes because I'm in Illinois. We have to pay state taxes. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Mr. Adela. This is amazing. Everyone, contact information I'm going to send. I will put a link in the chat for all of the information. You have the information to the website. And on the website, you have all of the speaker bios. Let me make sure I'm doing that right. All of the speaker bios are on the elevateyourestate.org website. So I just put that in the chat. There's also a Facebook group where we will, hopefully just continue this community. And as we learned, your network is your net worth. So be a part of that Facebook community to, get timely notifications of whatever is coming out. And then information from all of the amazing speakers that we've had here today, the future speakers, all of that. Drop in the chat. And for those of you, thank you so much for still hanging out with us. We're about wrapping this up, but I want to drop in the chat. Give me a fire emoji if you have gotten something, at least one thing from today that you will take and move forward and run with. I want to see the fire emojis. I want to see the chat lighting up. Ladies, drop in the chat. Okay, if you can't find the fire emoji, just give me a 1. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1. Okay, Toki, I see you with the hearts. Yes, yes, yes. This has been amazing. Keep dropping. Give me the 1s. Give me the fires. Give me all of that. I actually even got text messages from people who are like, oh my God, this was so amazing, informative. And again, even personally, I feel like we have been able to talk about our whole estate, and especially as women, we do a lot. We carry a lot. We wear a lot of hats. Like I have 3 little, very active boys, run my own practice. I do this. I like to travel. I like food. I like this. Just balancing all of that is a lot. And I'm glad that so many of you were able to invest time in yourself, take time out to come today and just woosah and learn how to get our mind right, our body right, our money right, our passive income, our brand, and everything. So at this point, I'm going to bring back up here the one and only Ezewani Abi Zaya, who put together this amazing platform of amazing women. I think I know like her and Joy, but everybody else I'm literally just meeting, you know, as part of this presentation. And hopefully we will solidify the relationships and moving forward, you know, we're all like just doing big things together because there is power in community. Zewani Abi, come on up, take the mic, and then just wrap us up. And then after this, we have a whole a panel discussion on the schedule, but we can just do an open forum and have a conversation about what everyone has learned, what you want to do. I mean, I do literally, no kidding. I have my notes and okay, my blur is blurking it, but I have notes. So I have questions and I'm going to talk to a lot of these women and I'm going to book. And by this time next year, you're going to be seeing a new glow on Grace. Okay. All right. So Zaya, come right in, take us away, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. I really appreciate you and everyone. I can't imagine 2 hours have passed. Thank you for sticking with us. I know it's a lot to invest 2 hours or 3 hours of your time on a Saturday. So thank you for sticking with us. And I feel a little like I have a cheat code. The fact that I know all these women personally, like I feel like it's a cheat code. There's no way I have access personally to all these amazing people and can have one-on-one conversations with them about each of these topics. I am glad that they were able and willing to participate in this and share this knowledge with you all comprehensively. Because once again, these are conversations we would have over brunch or over a mimosa or something. But now we can talk about it, and I can share that with multiple people across different functions. Having said that, I let them know last night when we were talking that my session would have to be minimized, and I don't mind minimizing my session because I ultimately feel like this experience is not about me. There's a reason why I felt inspired to bring these kind of people together for us to have these type of topics. One thing that I wanted to reference as part of this conversation was something that triggered my thought to even get to this point. And I'm going to try to share. Let's see where we are. What can I'm going to share. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting to the technical part as well. So I'm going to figure this out in a second. There we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. If you have the details of that. So there was a book I was reading. It's called Personal Development for Smart People. And there was a questionnaire in there, really what got me thinking about this concept. And it had you rate the areas of your life, which is similar to the State of the Union, right? You have every year, once the year starts, you have the president of the country gives a State of the Union, and they go through different aspects of the country and what's happening and what they anticipate to come in the year. Over the past few years, I found myself doing this, what I consider my personal State of the Union. At the end of the year, you go over it, the different areas of your life, and you grade it. But this book was interesting because it would have you grade this, give it a 1 to 10. As you see, you have your habits, daily routines, which involve your exercise, your spiritual development. It has your emotions, your social life, your health and fitness, your money and finances, and all of that. But he would say something at the end of this. He would say, if you don't have a 9 or a 10, you have to change it to a 1. So as you're starting, you go, okay, well, this is a 5, this is a 6, this is a 3, this is a whatever it is that you decide it is. In the book, he says, no, if it's not a 9 or a 10, it has to be a 1. Why? Because anything else in the middle, you're making excuses. You're having to justify it. Once I started thinking of my life in this way, I found myself more intentional about the little things that we spend time on, right? Like you find yourself, oh, I'm just going to hang out here because there's something to do. No, you begin to question, okay, in terms of work, career, social relationships, is this a 9 or a 10? Okay, we're doing mental development or education. What are you doing in your life? And is it a 9 or a 10? Because ultimately the input is going to affect the rewards that you reap at the end of the year. This is also why I wanted to have this conversation in January. With a few friends that I've spoken to about this, I kept feeling pushed to put this event together, but I knew I couldn't do it. If I didn't do it in January, it wasn't going to happen. That's really the mindset I had with it. So I said, even if it meant the very last weekend of the month, we would make sure that this happened in January because this ties in on a larger basis to have this conversation for each of us individually. As I mentioned, these women are people who are impactful in their personal experience, in their personal professions and personal experiences, but they have all come together to share that impact. I think it's also a perfect timing when we talk about changes and preparing for changes. I know, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. Not just because of the state of the environment and the economy and having the president that we have and the changes that are already being spit out day by day. If anyone is aware, as we are, you know that's going to not only affect you personally, it is most likely going to affect you professionally. It is also possibly going to affect you financially. And this is just on an internal, personal standpoint. By default, when certain things happen personally and professionally, it does begin to affect your mental health and your mindset, and it begins to affect your physical being because sometimes you're just really quite exhausted to do anything. I am hoping that this event and this conversation that we've had is able to challenge you to be intentional now before the year continues, to be intentional about preserving that energy, planning for those changes, whatever money moves you need to make, whatever conversations you need to start having. If there are professional changes that you need to make, knowing that some things may be different in the next 6 months, then you start thinking about that. We had, Coach Chichi talking about how to be strategic in your business. We've had Dr. Donna talk about how to really be conscious of your mindset, because if we wait until the change happens for us to start working on it, it's a little harder to get the wheels churning. It helps if you have the wheels churning prior to, before we have to put all the work in. Having said that, the next slide. Can you guys still see my screen? Yeah?
Yes, we can. Can you click that the expander thing at the top of the screen? Like there you go.
Okay, well, it doesn't. Okay, there we go.
There.
So here, I just put this together to kind of let us think comprehensively about the impact of changes and how it really affects all of us on a grander scale. Only to show this as a reason for us to really, really take the time to be intentional about how we manage ourselves and our plans this year and really moving forward. From a mental standpoint, if you're going through a change in your mental health, it affects everything else, but it's really just about you, right? It might affect the people that are closer in your life and your close interactions. But most times I've noticed that people are able to shield their mental state while being functional in society. We can have functional alcoholics, we can have functional depressives, you can have functional people they could be going through chaos in their personal life, but you never see it. Same with physical. Someone can mask a physical issue. Physical health could be down and on the decline, and you wouldn't see it. The person dresses well, does really nice makeup, gets a haircut, shaves their beard. You don't get to see that. But once we begin to talk about changes in the family structure, or professional changes, or community level changes, or socioeconomic level changes, or global community changes, you begin to see how it impacts everybody else. I am hoping that from this conversation and the interactions and access we have, that we are all able to start thinking, okay, we can have anticipated changes that we're aware of, but what happens when the unanticipated comes in? Unanticipated changes means we can't predict what's going to happen. And sure, life happens, things happen, so you don't ever think about it. I can share, I have a friend this morning who was going to be here, and they couldn't make it because someone, a close family of theirs, was running 2 nights ago and fell and had to have brain surgery yesterday. Now, that's a family change that has now happened that's going to affect the family's finances because he earns income. It's going to affect the children. It's going to affect probably the physical well-being of everyone because now there's high stress and things to accommodate. It is essential that we all take the responsibility about our mental, physical, the things that we can actually control, that we take responsibility of those ahead of time before something happens. That also means that we are more guarded, as we had Adeola talk about taxes. Once again, I feel very fortunate. She's been my tax counterpart for the past 3 years. It helps to have the right people in your community. It helps to have the right people in your network. And as Coach Chichi mentioned, your network will determine your net worth. That's valid. but we need to be intentional about those relationships, about those engagements. How are we putting ourselves out there, and who are we spending time with, and what are we talking about? Like, really, what are you spending your time engaging? I'm not saying it shouldn't all be fun, but you also have to think of life on a larger scale, because once again, I think this is going to be the beginning of a time that's very different from anything that we've ever been accustomed to. In the past week, you can tell that it's going to be an interesting experience. So what do we do to preserve our well-being during this process and beyond? Because even if the world changes in 4 years, it will not be the same. We all know that. But how are we going to preserve ourselves and keep our well-being, mental well-being together? How are we going to make sure that we're taking the steps that are necessary? We had, Dr. Cristiana talk about just stress and management of stress and recognizing how stress affects us. I'll put a little anecdote. I have known her for several years, and part of why I feel very fortunate with the people that I know here is there was a time that my sleep was completely dysregulated. No matter what I would do, I wouldn't sleep well. I thought, okay, business must be stressful. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And I met with her. We did a blood test and went through certain things. And she gave me a full panel. My hormones, magnesium was low, zinc was here, this was there. I thought, oh, great. I didn't know these things were valid things to think about. I thought it was just stress related, but no, this is actually functional medicine. And what do we do to preserve our well-being? Oh yeah, it was funny because then she told me about testosterone and muscle mass. I'm like, well, I've always been little. I don't know how am I supposed to keep working out every day to keep muscle mass? She goes, well, you need to do some of these things because it's actually affecting your sleep. I didn't think me being skinny would affect my sleep, but seriously, as we get older, lots of things change, and you never know where these little things will begin to affect you and your well-being. Because lack of sleep would affect my interaction at the office, which would affect my interaction with the clients, and by default, affect my money. Then I now have to talk to the tax person about my money. So this conversation, I hope, inspires you to look at every aspect of your life and understand that everything ties to each other. Every single thing. Even if you don't notice it until there is a problem, this is my challenge and really my request to you as people that are part of my community by extension, to be very intentional about what you do from here onwards. I hope this platform with Elevate Your Estate is able to be really the beginning of something that adds value on a larger scale. I hope to have more of these sort of conversations and maybe have opportunity for us to meet in person, as I mentioned. But so far, it has been incredible to just hear from each and every one of these women, and knowing, I personally know how impactful they are on a one-on-one basis, but knowing that they're able to impact on a larger scale as well. So having said that, there's a link on the website that gives you the opportunity to sign up for a newsletter, which I will manage. I don't like newsletters, so I will not be sending you anything weekly or monthly. It will probably be quarterly, and the quarterly will be more to invite you to similar conversations, similar engagements. It's not, no one is selling you anything. These are all things that will benefit you, but I think it's valuable that we all have a community that challenges us to take it a step further. We're at 1:23. I will close it out. And if we have some questions, I think Grace will let us know if there's a need for a panel or a need for further discussion. If there isn't, it has been a blessing to have you guys follow through this experience with me. I will say I wasn't sure what to expect, but I am very grateful that we did it. And hopefully we'll do it again, hopefully. But until next time, I hand off to Grace. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was the amazing Zaya. Thank you for wrapping us. Actually, you know what? After this, we could have just been like, drop the mic, because this is everything. And when you communicated what you wanted to do to me, I was like, this is perfect, because a lot of us women, we need this. We need to take time out and pause. We need to, otherwise we're just going. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do for my mom and dad, the kids, all of that. So we need to pause. And all of this, again, has been gems to just remind us about how all these different things affect our lives. The stress one is a big thing for me, because this week I'm about to go through my schedule and just cross out any stressors. We're not doing it. All right. Next up, we had scheduled a panel discussion. And I don't know if you guys can see me playing with this screen here. I can't, I think, did you see it moving around? And And honestly, I feel like at this point, everybody, we can all unmute. Everybody, please feel free to unmute and let's just keep it open right now. We have a panel. There were really no questions in the chat that I saw. Unless I missed it, but I don't think I saw any specific questions. And so the idea of this end was just to kind of like have a panel. And then if you guys had a specific question for each presenter, to ask them about that. And so this is the opportunity if you are, and if you guys in the audience, people, and thank you again for sticking with us. Thank you so much for being here on a Saturday. We do appreciate your time. We know it's a sacrifice, but truly it's an investment in us. I beg, everybody will be okay. So this is an investment in us. Thank you for doing this for you. Turn on your video, unmute yourself if you're on here, if you're able to, unless you're running the market somewhere, don't do that. But this is the question and answer series. Feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, and I will start with my questions. I think as I was taking note, I think I said Dr. Donna. So my question is, you talked about, hey Myrna, thank you for sharing video. I see coaching. I see, Davida, Toki. All right. Okay, so Dr. Donna, when you were talking about the mindset and you were talking about gratitude, right? I guess I'm a practical person. It's like, because everybody's like, okay, gratitude, and gratitude. What are we writing in this gratitude journal? Like, give me a prompt, give me a practical prompt of what I need to ask myself, and then formulate the answer to that to put down in paper to kind of help me go through that process of dealing with whatever it is that's, going through the mind and just trying to clear my mind of whatever negativity that needs to get away. So if you could answer that question real quick for me, please.
Sure, Grace. That's a great question, actually. So Grace, I'll have a question for you actually before I answer that question. And my question for you is, what are you grateful for today?
There's a lot. See, that's the thing. Like, there's
No, tell me.
that.
Think about it. Take a moment. Take a
I'm
moment. We have a
grateful,
little bit of time.
I'm grateful, I'm alive. I'm grateful my kids are not home and I can get some me time. I'm grateful for being able to do what I love. So it's like, there's just so many things that, and I think sometimes for me, as because my brain is like always going to so many things, I want like, what exactly? Because sometimes that question, what are you grateful for, is like, okay, I gotta say I'm thankful to be alive, because don't be, I'm alive, but give me something. So yeah, that's my answer.
You gave me some things. You gave me a lot of things, right? And it's in that, it's also allowing yourself the space to think about it and not rush yourself or get overwhelmed by it, and allowing yourself to sit into it and say, what am I grateful for today? Like, you can start with physical, tangible things. Like right now, and I'm sitting here present with you. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the opportunity with this women. I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful that it may seem so mundane, but it's a privilege. And the more you think, the more you speak the things, the more things start to come as you're in that energy, right? So you just need to start. When you start, you will be surprised you fill up pages, but it's giving yourself the space in the room. And I would just challenge you to do that. Just start with exactly what you told me. And as you write and you talk about yourself, what's currently going on in front of you right now, you talked about your boys, you talked about your practice. Look at you, you're vibrant and you're alive and you're you're doing and you're elevating and those things are the things that you write about. But it's the starting. It's not necessarily about, okay, start writing and it'll flow.
Okay.
Only always does it flow once you get started.
Thank you for that. Thank you. That actually,
Absolutely.
yes, because every time I'm like, okay, I'm about to write the same thing, but just knowing that, okay, that it's okay. And I'm giving myself permission to write down the ones that just seems like, okay, all right, we're grateful for this, we're grateful for that, and then flow into everything else. And as I was saying that too, I started feeling like, oh yeah, I'm blessed. Like, oh, okay. So,
Yeah. And as you cultivate that habit, you start to pay attention to your day and to what's happening in your life. Because now you're looking forward to writing some more. And so you'll become more present because you're looking forward to more things to write about. Like, oh man, I'm so grateful. And that's why I talk about it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because like, oh, what am I going to eat? Yeah. Like Zaya and I told her February 2nd, we're having brunch to talk about all the things I'm grateful for in January in anticipation. So guess what? I'm going to have a report. Now I'm anticipating all the things I'm grateful for in preparation for that date, you see.
okay.
So, yeah.
Can I share something as well? Donna's a personal friend of mine, so I was going through a really hard time in my life, and till this day, and that was 2, 3 years ago. And she shared, because I think you asked Grace about like a phrase specifically, and Donna gave me a phrase that I still use till today, and that was like 2, 3 years ago. I am so happy and grateful now, and I say that thing like it's going out of style. So I know Donna didn't say it at this moment, but it's a powerful statement, and it really shifts your perspective. So in front of everyone, thank you, Donna, but also just sharing for the group as you think about what you're grateful for.
Thank you. I am so happy. I mean, I'm so happy and grateful now.
Yeah.
So just
Thank you for bringing that up, Gigi. That is also a great way to preface what you're grateful for. Say, I'm so happy and I'm so happy and grateful, blah. And even things that you're anticipating, even if it's not present,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
powerful.
start to be thankful in advance for them now. And there's power in that as well. Thank you, Gigi.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Actually, and then, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Somebody.
I just wanted to add something to that. There was a time, and Donna, I don't want to reference our conversations, but similarly, there was a time where I was struggling because it's easy sometimes to lose sight of the things that are positive, right? Because when things are happening to you or when life isn't going the way you expect it to go, it's so natural to focus on that. Like, this is not what I wanted. Why is this? Da 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 da. I remember listening to a podcast that said, well, if you're struggling to find what the positive is, start with the most basic and simple things. Like, go as simple as you can. I have 5 fingers. I have an arm that I can use because there are people who do not have arms. Like, once you start going through the most basic, simple space, eventually you begin to build the momentum to change your perspective. I almost think of the thing of gratitude as a peripheral vision. Like, you can't see it because your entire being is focused in one direction. But once you start looking around you or just pivot a little bit, you will notice that there's always something to focus on. And if you really wanted to really change your mindset, when the thing that you perceive as a negative incident happens, you actually challenge yourself to be grateful for that because it's going to teach you something. By default, what you've perceived as negative is there to make you better. I don't believe any change happens in our lives without a purpose. There is absolutely no way. Like, life is not an accident. There are no coincidences. It's not a mistake. Everything that happens to turn on something else, to push you towards something else, to change you and shape you for something else. So if you can name those things that you say, okay, I don't know what I'm grateful for. Fine, find the things that are negative and then find the basic things, or the fact that you have access to certain things. On a larger scale, we get so comfortable in our privilege that we don't realize how privileged we are to actually be in existence and have somewhere to sit for a couple of hours and talk about elevation. We have, between what's happening, I don't want to make it a political thing, but between withdrawing, funds for the world and access to the World Health Organization and access to humanitarian aid, there are people who will not have food tomorrow. But we're here to talk about elevating. Like, that alone is something to be grateful for. Like, who has the space to talk about, to take it one step further when people are still not at the basics yet, So it's, sorry to take it on. I'm not going to make it a whole thing.
No. This is an open forum. I like that because it's true. Because we're here where like we do have the benefit of talking about, oh, I'm going next level. There are people who are literally scared that they might die tonight, like they don't have food. So and even for me personally though, that's always what's helped me kept me grounded. Even anything I go through is knowing that yes, sometimes it's hard and it's easy to focus on the negative and what you're going through, but remembering that we are in this position just gives you that momentum you need to keep pushing and wanting to elevate and whatever it is. So yes, thank you for sharing. And again, feel free, anyone in there, thank you all for turning on videos. Ify, I see you. How you doing? Say hi to the baby.
Hey.
Join in. Hey. Because we're keeping it real right now. And what I love about this is, it's not just a lecture. We've done the whole presentation and lecture, but let's keep it real as women. Sometimes it'd be hard. It'd be hard sometimes, you know. We want to elevate ourselves, we want to do this, but sometimes just life just be lifing. And that actually brings me, my next question that I had was for Cristiana. And I know this might be very elementary. You were saying journaling. I think for me too, the way I need to hear it. You're like, okay, you're going through stuff. I need you to journal. What am I journaling? Like what am I writing down? Or what is the
Yes,
purpose?
Grace.
Yes, what is
So yeah, for a lot of my patients, what I see is that during consultations, it's hard to pinpoint where the stressors are. For some, they can tell you right off the bat that this is my stressor, it's work. Like we talked about, we're elevating our estate. Some of us have great lives and we cannot identify the specific stressors. So what I've seen from practice and experience in my little sample size in my practice is when I tell patients to start to journal the day of, they get to identify in real time the stressors. I'll give you an example. I had a very specific patient that could never pinpoint why his cortisol levels were so high. And so we got a wearable and he had some spikes during the week, but he was like, I don't know exactly what is causing me to have higher levels. So I said, okay, what you're going to do is start journaling. So from the journaling experience, he was able to identify that it was a specific Wednesday, team meeting that would get his, his levels elevated. And actually, he was able to notice the ripple effect it had for the rest of the day. So when he came home, he opened a bottle of wine. And we know for some people and most, alcohol doesn't get you into REM sleep. And we need REM sleep to recuperate and be restored. And so it now formed a ripple effect till the next morning. So now he's not sleeping well, and then he's stressed for the rest of the day. So we're able to identify that Wednesday was where the stressors were, only because he got to journal the events that occurred that day. So it's very simple, however, very, very effective if you want to identify, because we don't have time. Let's be frank. I have a specific journal. It's a high performance journal that actually gives you questions, specific things. So one of the, like Donna talked about, is practicing gratitude. So at the end of the day, you actually get to write specific things you're thankful for. The beginning of the day, it has 3 questions. It sets specific goals for you. I know it helps me to keep me aligned, not just for my schedule, but it's a form of journaling. So I usually tell them, I say, hey, I know we don't have time to journal everything, but sometimes if you have journals that have prompters, those are great ways to write down the events that occurred today. And it's been very effective for most of my patients. So that's what I would say, journal, that's how it comes into play, journaling. So you may not think of it, but there are certain events in the day that do affect your mindset, your mood, and even your body, your stress level, and your sleep. Okay, it just becomes a ripple effect. So if we can nip it in the bud quickly, we're less likely to go to adrenal fatigue. And when you're talking about adrenal fatigue in medicine, it's really hard to come back out of that. It's not just stress management. Now we're talking about supplementation. We're looking at all organs, and it's a combination and a synergistic effect at that moment that can get you out of that slump. So the quicker you can nip it in the bud, the more likely you can stay healthy and evade chronic illness.
Thank you for that. So what I'm hearing is just, free flow and just dump all of the stuff that's stressing, like what's going on, how am I feeling, what am I feeling, who do I want to punch today, why do I want to punch them, those kind of things, because that would be mine. Just, put all that down. And, as you were saying that too, I'm thinking I'm going to start monitoring it myself and paying attention to those maybe trends sometimes, what drives that. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions going on. And I mean, I did have a question. I was actually really taking notes. I had a question for our coach, our workplace lady, talking about the LinkedIn, and especially as women, especially as Black women right now, what would you advise Coach Chichi about, in our business? We talked about, we know, what's going on in the news, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been pretty much hacked. And so at this point in the workplace, all of our colleagues might be looking at you like, oh, you're Black, you're a woman, so you're this. What is the one practical thing you would tell us moving forward right now to like elevate ourselves and navigate our careers, business, whatever it is?
I would say know your value, know your strengths, and stand in it. I mean, period. When we look for the world to validate us, you oscillate, right? There's oscillation of, oh, I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm good enough, I'm not good enough. What does it look like to stand in your power, your values, your strengths, the talents that you bring to the spaces that you're in, and silence the world, right? I know it's hard when you say silence the world. There's shit that's sorry for my language, but there's shit that's going on. There's real shit. But at the end of the day, if you know the value that you inherently have, and we stop looking for external validation, you build a career, you build a business, you build a brand that is timeless. And that's the advice I would give to any woman.
Know your value.
Yeah, because oftentimes I have clients that will come to me and they're sitting waiting for someone to tell them you can have it or you can do it. What does it look like for you to believe that you can and act accordingly? Right? I was the head of DEI and inclusive strategy for Amazon. And what's going on in the world right now is crazy. But ultimately, I have to make a decision. We all have to make a decision on what we're going to stand on and for and proceed accordingly.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Know your value, create visibility on what you do. So basically, ladies, talk your ish.
Yeah,
Yes.
but most importantly, it's don't look for external validation.
Don't
That's
look.
that's what cripples people. It's looking for people to approve. If you don't
Yeah.
get likes on your post, you stop posting. If your LinkedIn stories or what you share doesn't get shared by other people or people don't reference it, you feel like what you're contributing is invaluable. Again, what does it look like when we stop worrying about everyone else and believe inherently within ourselves? That's when true change happens all around.
Thank you for that. Actually, you saying that just remind me of a prime example. And I think Effie in the room also knows I have a friend who I met her a few years ago. She was posting on YouTube and Instagram. No one was liking. She would get like 3 likes or 2 likes, but she just kept posting for years, no likes. Like I was like, oh, like, but I was so, and honestly, I don't think I would have sustained it. But fast forward till today, actually, maybe a few years later from after I met, she did this consistently for years. No, like I had more likes. I wasn't even posting anything about brand. I was goofy stuff and crazy stuff. I had way more following. Do you know that right now she is getting thousands of views? And like as soon as she drops a video, it's like the views are like in the, I mean, Ify knows her, right? Like it's like, and Ify's like, oh, how? Like, yes. To me, I look at her and I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to, take whatever it is that she had and stand and know my worth and not, look at the likes and all of that to validate me and make me want to keep going. So
Yeah,
thank you so much
yeah,
for
it's a work in progress for everyone, but it's
yes.
possible.
Okay. All right.
I'm
So
gonna 1 second, if you don't mind. Coach Chichi, I'm gonna say, forgive me, this may seem like external validation seeking, but I promise you it's not. We're at the point where most people have dropped off. I think this is sort of the final crew before we're done. I would like to get feedback. What was the most valuable part of this experience for you? It's not validation seeking. It is really trying to understand for myself personally if this effort was worth it for others. As I said, these are people I access personally. I thought it would be profound to share their knowledge and insights with others, and also challenge myself to take this idea of this vision where we are more connected than we think we are and see what happens. So I would like, I mean, you don't have to write it, you can talk, tell me, but really give me feedback. What did you enjoy, appreciate about this experience? What do you wish you would have learned more about? And yeah, open floor. Either way, I'm gonna be good, so don't worry about hurting my feelings.
For me, I would say it's all about building community. There's a
Okay.
lot of women in here that I would have probably never encountered, right? So being able to see Adiola, and I've been talking about hiring a tax professional for about 3 months now. So that's a new connection point that I probably would not have been able to make on my own. So I think community has been important. And then also, starting the conversation about like mindset. I think what Donna shared was so powerful because it truly is the positioning of everything. So that has been, I mean, immensely powerful for me. So I think this has been great, and I see some level of a cadence of this happening at some quarterly, maybe monthly, whatever Zaya, sustainable for you. But it's been really good. So
Thank you.
yeah, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Interesting.
And
It's
I
interesting.
like, sorry, one second. Coach Chichi
No, go
has
ahead.
challenged me. She goes, I don't execute, people execute for me. That was the only thing I remember from this entire thing. I mean, I'm like, yeah, that's the way we're living life now. I'm sorry. I am not going to do the work. We need people to do
Yeah.
it. So profound insight across the board. Thank you all for really being a part of this.
Love
Oh,
what you talked about, Coach Ichi, about the Cadians. I'm like, yeah, because I was thinking that even before the event started. I was like, this is such a unique offering, right? Where we have Black women's different expertise coming together to have this conversation, right? And to learn, grow, build the community you talked about. And so I think that is definitely valuable, and that cadence would be great, monthly, quarterly, however is inspired. But we definitely need more of this. It's been certainly edifying, so much value added. So much to learn from each and every one of you. I'm like, wow, okay. So I've been able to learn so much. I'm just grateful for it. It's been great. I kind of saw it. I kind of anticipated. I was like, okay, topics, investments, and just elevating our careers, our health, and I mean, all of it. Tax. Oh man. Talk to me nice, because we all need that, right? And so it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. I want to see more. I want to see more. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that. And thank you. I will put myself on blast. Thank you for encouraging me for the past at least 18 months to actually execute on this, because I've talked to you about this initiative for a while and how much I hate having to manage people and events and having to put things together, and the anxiety of speaking constantly. So thank you for pushing in a very gentle way for the past year and a half. And here we are. It's happened.
And you did it. And it's great. More
Thank
to come. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Who
you.
pushed you gently, Donna? Donna, you push gently?
Yeah, no, well, if it wasn't gentle, she knew I wouldn't do it. So for me, it has to be gentle, because you push too hard, I'll just shut the door and it's never gonna happen. So she knows how it works. She was good. I don't do force, and she was very aware of that. It's just been a very gentle thing.
gentle reminder.
Yeah, no, it's been good, because I talked about this in 2022. Jesus. So yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you are a part of it to fruition.
Anybody else feel free to, because we all know I got a lot. I have notes here to prove it. So
I just wanted to say thank you, Zaya, for having this. This is really, really great. I learned so much from Christina, from Chichi, Coach Chichi. Amazing section by her. Definitely, I'm going to reach out. And then Donna, powerful section as well. I learned so much. And of course, the real estate, Joey, thank you. I mean, I need to enhance my real estate investment, and so thank you. I really think we all needed this, to be honest, Ira. Yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and don't doubt yourself. This was good, and we all need it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for the feedback.
A lot from everyone. Yeah.
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
go next. Yeah, Azenwaya, I think I was the one that told you that even if nobody showed up, just the fact that we're merging our words together and our expertise was enough to just build our wealth of knowledge. And I've, definitely spent most of my life in the medical field and a little bit in the real estate investment side of things, but I have learned a wealth of knowledge from you all. Yes, the coaches, Dr. Donna, Coach Chi, just never thought that I'll understand more about mindset and just placing myself as a professional and knowing my worth. That was wow, that was very powerful. So I learned a great deal, and I'm looking forward to the collaboration. And I feel like we need to do this more often, but I know we're very busy. We have busy schedules, but quarterly will be okay for me. But I'm looking forward to the future and just the impact we have synergistically as a community in the world. So thank you for this opportunity and great job being obedient and just doing it is why.
Thank you. Keyword obedient. Hopefully God puts money in my account for that.
Elevating, we're elevating.
You know,
You're elevating.
We're
I can
elevating.
kids, sir, but you know, just in case.
We're
Thank you.
I'd like to say something from a participant's perspective.
Yes,
So,
please.
congratulations, Aya. This was fantastic. Really, thanks for having me. I know I'm calling all the way from Angola, and I'm so glad I did not miss this. Coming into this year, there were certain things I wanted to be intentional about. Two things, my mental health and my relationships, and evaluating those relationships. And I got a lot more than I could bargain for in those aspects, and even more beyond that. I really enjoyed the Venn diagram you shared at the end. And it really talked about those key aspects, and it's going to help me do a lot more evaluation from the investments perspective, the taxes, just a lot of good content. Real estate is something I've been thinking about. And I've gotten some great content that I think I could utilize as I'm on my journey. So in summary, I think I really learned a lot from everyone. It was fantastic. When you said, I don't know if we'll do this again, I'm like, yes, please do. There's a lot of value in this. I know you probably expected a lot more people, but it's okay. It's the first time. In fact, I was thinking there's so much you could probably do with this recording because don't sleep on it. Because this was really fantastic, great content, great job, and congratulations. I see this as a success. So thank you, and thanks everyone that presented for your time and your sacrifice. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you. Thank you so much for the feedback. Definitely from a participant's perspective, because I think most of us that have spoken were were part of the planning process. So that is, I do appreciate that. It's helpful to know that there is value. And really this morning when I was trying to figure out how Zoom works on a larger scale with Grace while getting coffee with Joy and trying to not be nervous, my only question was that there is value added to somebody else. It's not that it's not that I benefit from it. And I said to the ladies last night, they're more experts in their fields. And my thing is, once again, having access to them and knowing how invaluable each of what they do. I mean, everyone else, I know them personally and I've worked with them in different capacities. I haven't worked with Coach Chichi, but I've seen what she's done, you know, just watching her online. I know that people will benefit from that wealth of knowledge. I know there are people that can benefit from each and every single person on here. I also know that on a larger scale, I need and love having the community that challenges me. I love working with people, women who are like, okay, let's take it one step further. Where do we go? Let's make a goal that's so audacious that you're uncomfortable that you're willing to do this. So my prayer today was that there is value. There's someone picks value from this and there is impact. And you know, all that I said, we'll do it again. Most likely there'll be something. I mean, I've talked to Joy about doing group investments, which is something that we talked about last year and had a meeting about that with and Adeola and I had spoken about just real estate investments. I do my thing, Joy does her thing, but what if more of us came together? What if more of us came together and we could buy apartment buildings? I mean, like, why not? You know, what if we're able to go on vacations and Dr. Joy's wellness company comes in with some Botox and some B12 shots and whatnot while we're still talking business? What if we're able to kind of just have something that's a bit more, you know, more expensive than anything I've seen out there? But really the baseline goal is that someone is impacted and there is change, even if it's just a little drop of change in someone else because of this vision. I'm grateful for that. So thank you for giving me that feedback and reinforcement. Yeah, I will see you again for sure.
Awesome.
Awesome. I think that's the perfect way to close this out. If anybody has no further questions, thank you so much, ladies. Wait, Fast, going, gone. Okay.
Going, going, gone. Thank you,
Thank you
guys. I
so much.
appreciate your time, really. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Bye. Adios.
Bye.
And enjoy
Thanks,
your year.
guys.
Oh, yes. Make it an amazing 2025.
Make it an amazing year.